Hey everyone, welcome to our Matic webinar called Show and Tell. See the content that top CS teams share with their customers. Um, while we're waiting for everyone to kind of come on in, we have a little poll up front. So on your screen, you should see the question, what is your customer success emoji alter ego? You got 5 choices: friendly and helpful, the little smiley face; celebratory and collaborative; honest and human; confident problem solver with a little muscle arm; and buttoned up and efficient, which looks like a robot. So go ahead, select which one best represents your customer success emoji alter ego. And yeah, our panelists, which one is yours?
I would say for me, I'm the robot button up one. I always like to be like clean and polished on the things I'm saying, and as well, I'd lie if I didn't say Mr. Robot was one of my favorite shows.
And also very on brand with your background.
Yes.
Love that. For me, I think I have to go with honest and human. I think in a world that often calls for us to provide perfection, it's often brave to be able to just show your human side, and there's a lot of power and vulnerability. So that's the one I went with.
I love that. That's very, very true, especially in the AI world.
Oh yeah.
I love it. I'm going to go with confident problem solver. Maybe the sales side in me. So ultimately taking on a lot of obstacles and finding our solution to solve them. And honestly, having fun doing it along the way, but I'd go with that one.
So maybe a muscle arm with a party hat.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. For those just trickling in, we're going to get started in a few. Go ahead and answer the poll in front of you. Obviously, like one of the hardest hitting questions you'll get asked this week. But it's almost Friday. Are you guys excited for the weekend? I know I am.
Always looking forward to a weekend.
Oh yeah.
And
Same.
also next week is July 4th, so there's a long weekend in our future too, right around the corner. Does anyone go out of town for July 4th, or are y'all staying local?
I'm going to be headed out more towards the East Coast, upstate New York. So I don't
Ooh.
know if any of our attendees are, across the US, but it'll be good to get out in nature and s'mores and all the things, all the fireworks, all the things.
How about you, Amber
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
Seth?
I have a lot of family here in Georgia with me, so we always get together for 4th of July and usually just enjoy the pool and some barbecue. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, similar. Being in South Texas, can't celebrate 4th of July without going to the beach or doing some sort of barbecue. So I'm already getting asked, what am I cooking for 4th of July?
I will say, no matter how fancy the hamburger, it does not beat the one that is grilled in the park ever. Okay, we're
So
five
true.
minutes in. So for those who are wondering what the results are, the answer is honest human. So a lot of honest humans love that, which also is very on brand for CSMs in general. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you everyone for joining our webinar, Show and Tell. See the content that top CS teams share with their customers. Our lovely panelists are going to be sharing a lot of knowledge with us. If at any point you have a question, go ahead and either drop it in the chat, or there's a Q&A functionality. If you hover over Zoom, it should pop up and you can ask it there. We'll be monitoring and we'll definitely try to get to all questions by the end of the webinar. So with that, I am so excited with the panelists we have today. These are some really innovative experts. So we have Amber Estevez from Senior Customer Success Manager at SalesLoft, Casey Allison, Senior Customer Success Manager at Glassdoor, and Seth Rodriguez, Manager of Customer Success Management at HackerOne. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today. Do you mind just kicking us off with a little brief overview of your professional experience? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
Sure thing. Yeah, I can start us off. First off, thank you for having us today. I appreciate being a part of this. With my experience, I've been now in the CS world, it's hard to believe, but over 12 years. And so I started in the call center and kind of worked my way up, working on with focus on retention. I did some leadership as well. And then I finally found my home in the CSM world, which I've been doing for going on 7 years now. So that's me.
I love it. I'll go next. I actually started more in the sales realm, but in hospitality, and sponsorship sales, and worked, meandered a little bit, went back to grad school and meandered back into more of the CS role about now 12 years ago as well. I'm in Chicago, and just honestly, I'm going to call out Matic here. Thankful for Matic and its creation, because it's really helped me and my team, our department, do our CS role really more effectively. So I'm just excited to be here. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll round us out. So yeah, for me, been in CS about 8 years now. And so similar to Casey, I spent a lot of my career in sales, and then decided to go back to school because I wanted to really focus on like IT and be more of a security expert. And the natural transition was to go into a support role. So I was like, hey, I can join customer success. Then I realized how much I love interacting with customers and just having conversations about proof of value and things like that. And so I was like, hey, I've got a technical background now. I love talking to customers. Like it just kind of worked in tandem together. And so decided like CS is where I'm going to continue to lay my hat, and just love talking to customers, and again, just reiterating the value of the things they're paying for, and why they continue to buy the services we're offering.
I love how all these diverse routes have led to this amazing spot of CSM for y'all. So thank you for sharing. So what's on deck today? As it's suggested in the title, it's a show and tell. Why show and tell? It feels very elementary school. Show and tells have always been awesome. I always love them. But I also think in today's world, there's a lot of high level info. But sometimes the best way to learn and get inspired is by actually seeing what people are doing. So that's what we're going to try to do today. Our lovely panelists are going to be walking us through the actual content they're setting. But before we dive into that, I do want to pick your brains on a few different things. So, first question I have for y'all: what kind of content have you seen been the most successful in moving the needle? And why do you think it was successful?
I think for us and for me, the content that really consistently like moves the needle is the personalized performance. It's paired with clear strategic recommendations. And that's where that customers really get that like real aha moment. It's one thing to say your program's doing well, but when you show them their actual program data alongside tailored next step, that's when it clicks. It shifts the conversation from what happened to what's possible. And it's their data, it's their goals, their outcomes. So we're not just presenting a dashboard. We're helping them tell a story, especially to their executive leadership.
I think, Seth, you make a really important call out, which is it's not just about the data, it's pairing it with the recommendations and really allows CSMs to be that subject matter expert.
Yeah, I second that fully, Seth. And in addition to that, I think another type of content that has a big impact with customers is showing them what adoption looks like. So a lot of times it does open the conversation for increasing adoption across other teams that may not already be leveraging or optimizing the services that you're providing. So it really helps highlight where the focuses can be. And on the other side of that, if there is high adoption, just showing the true value in what their teams are receiving.
I appreciate how for adoption isn't necessarily a negative the way you're positioning it, Amber. It's like an opportunity
Yes.
too. Which kind of goes to my next question in terms of opportunity. What part of the customer journey do y'all think should get a little bit more love?
Yeah, I can kick us off with that one. Maybe it's my biased opinion being that I'm in CS, but I certainly believe the post-sales value realization is key when it comes to a customer journey. And so what that means is really understanding the overall objective and really how they define value, because it's important that you have mutual agreement on where the focuses will be and how you're going to deliver on the action items that you both decide together. So yes, I would say it's that post-sales experience.
Great.
I would Yeah, I would add to that, very similar that post onboarding up until like that midterm period. You know, that's where like the customers launch, they're up and running, but they're still kind of figuring out like how to fully operationalize the program and connect it back to the broader business goal. Too often we're just over indexing on onboarding, or we're scrambling to re-engage around the renewal. But that real opportunity is right there at like that midpoint. So that way we're consistently reinforcing value.
I agree with you, Seth. I think that midpoint, excuse me, return on investment and reminding them why they invested in the first place. Not total, recap or to be repetitive, but that midpoint has been really impactful in the ROI of the existing investment, but then also as we use Matic to also upsell, like what other opportunities there are that complement our the current product that again they're investing in. So I think that's truly important.
And before we start the show and tell, what are the big no's when it comes to customer content?
I'll take that one. I think one is that we all agreed to actually prepping for this was the data dump. So for our show and tell, we're going to be walking through different decks at different points of the customer journey, and I think you'll see consistently that it's concise and there's not 30 slides of just all this data thrown at a customer, and it's customized, it's personalized. So that's, I think, the benefit again of the decks that we're going to show. It really speaks to the client depending on what they've invested in and where they are in their journey, in a really clean way.
I think another tip that I would add to that, fully agree with you, Casey, is not falling into making assumptions. So assuming what your customer wants to see. So a lot of times, using the business review as an example, I'll put together my deck and I'll ask for a business review like prep session, so I can ensure that we're presenting data that makes sense and also that it's going to land with different personas that we're bringing onto the call as well.
And Amber, that prep session, is that an internal prep session or with a champion, or
Yes,
who's
it's
involved?
with, yeah, absolutely. So it's hopefully going to include a champion, but mainly it's going to include my main point of contacts and ensuring that we're presenting from a lens that makes sense to the organization and also giving us an opportunity to celebrate the successes of our champion as well in front of their leadership team.
And with that, it's show and tell time. Amber is going to kick us off by sharing her cadence audit.
Great, let's go ahead and get started. Please bear with me as I'm working off of one screen, not something I'm used to doing, but here we are. So I often use business reviews, health checks, and things like that to move the needle with my customers. But I wanted to showcase something that's a bit more unique that's really had an impact for me as well. As I mentioned earlier, value realization is a big thing in making sure that we understand what that means for our customer, and also being able to present ourselves as trusted advisors and making sure that we're giving them strategic recommendations and best in class for as far as performance goes. So with SalesOft, of course, we're serving sellers and we're trying to make it easier for them to do what they do best and where they have the most impact. And so cadencing is kind of the bread and butter of what we do. It allows reps to focus on what's going to have the biggest impact with their outreach. So a lot of times my customers will turn to me as a trusted advisor, seeking what those best practices look like. And so, what I will leverage in a lot of cases is what we call the cadence audit. So, this is pulling data directly from our customer's instance. So, it is personalized and showing them their actual results. And so, I can use this as well to kind of guide them in what my recommendations are. I also firmly believe that data can kind of sell the point for you. So when you're asking customers to onboard a new strategy, you kind of want to make sure it makes sense to them and that it's going to have an impact. So this data will help me do this. And I'll give you an example. So there's several slides in here, but I'll use cadence length. So we recommend our highest performing cadences are usually between 5 to 12 steps. And what we find is a lot of our customers kind of sell themselves short by cutting their cadences very short. So this slide does a really good job for highlighting my customers where they might be opportunities for that. In this example, only 45% of cadences have between 5 to 12 steps. And as you'll see on the next slide, this customer's top performing steps are actually step 8. So if more than 40% of their cadences have less than 5 steps, then they're kind of losing that opportunity to get that engagement that they're seeking. And then of course it also shows us where the lower performing steps are, and then I can provide my recommendations on what changes they can make so we can start to see higher performance. So this often gives me an opportunity to also encourage my customers to create what we call a cadence committee, which is what we find helps customers be most successful, is making sure that they have someone who's in charge of kind of managing their content and making sure it's up to date and is performing effectively. And so sometimes it's hard to get a customer to see the value in creating a cadence committee, and having this data and presenting it in a way that can help me tell a story allows for that to kind of click with the customer and then for them to move forward with setting up that committee. That's it. There's quite a few slides here, but again, helps me move the needle in that sense when it comes to best practices.
I think that's like a really cool piece of content just because like you're really providing so much knowledge and insight. Like I can imagine come renewal time, people are like, well, not only because of the tool is providing value, but I don't want to lose Amber because she was helping me improve my cadences and all of that. It's almost like a value generation to all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps build that trust that's really key in making for a successful partnership. So, yeah.
Cool. And again, reminder, if you have any questions for Amber about that cadence audit or just in general how they came up with it, go ahead and drop those questions in either the chat or Q&A. Up next is Casey with a business review.
Hi, everyone. Here we go. Share my screen here. And so I've blinded this particular business review, but I'd love to walk you through for Glassdoor and Indeed, we're focused on recruitment marketing. And so the goal of this business review is to share return on investment of the employer's employer brand, and also share some insights into the product they've invested in, how is it influencing candidates to be excited to work for a given employer or work for them. So that gives some context or some background of the business review itself. So standard here, company name, always starting off with an agenda, setting the stage. This also helps me honestly open up what they want to talk about. And so this is kind of what I've planned. So Amber, to your point, I never want to go in unprepared, but I never want to go in assumptive of, okay, this is what we're going to go over. So this is a good talking point. Include an intro. Again, if there's a new team member, a new stakeholder, or if there's been any transitions on our side for new management, love to give the client some visibility who my leaders are. And sometimes they'll join the call as well. And it goes through recapping the partnership. This is again setting the stage, reminding them of what they have in place. I've of course X this out for this particular employer, but again, gives them preview, answer any questions. Also allows me to open up renewal. Just a reminder of and reminds myself, and it keeps us accountable of when the renewal is planned to take place, and if ultimately when they need their numbers or budgets. And in this particular deck, we're just going to dive right in, employer brand performance. And here are just some slides, again, as an example of what Matic has honestly made my life so much easier and really telling the story of return on investment. These are some pieces of data that ultimately showcase ROI of the employer brand and the profile. I'll walk through some of these slides. You can see some of the formats here, some of the key pieces that I communicate to an employer. And then brand advertising, this is more of a upsell opportunity. And so you can see for Matic, all of these slides, really in terms of time savings, I did not build manually. And so this has been incredible to showcase what's possible from an employer brand standpoint for our clients. And then for those of you that are familiar with Glassdoor, ratings is a very large aspect of data and insights that employers are interested in. And so I built a whole section just to really speak through their current ratings on Glassdoor and Indeed, and some next steps on how to move the needle there. And then I end with next steps and recap, ultimately making sure they're taking advantage. Amber, to your point again about adoption, product adoption, I close with that to make sure that we're taking advantage of everything. If we're not, here's where I step in terms of recommendations. Clear, to the point. This is exactly, our top 3 priorities that we want to walk away from today with.
I appreciate how and Amber Cadence audit did this too. It's like the data is the starting point. It's not the end point. It's like you use the data to almost justify the recommendations and things like that. And something y'all have talked about is this prep call. I just want to quickly double click. Like, what are you guys talking about in that prep call? Like, what are the things you're like, here are the questions you should ask? Because all of the stuff we've seen so far, and I'm sure we'll see with Seth, is just highly personalized.
Yeah, I can step in on that. So, an example might be a lot of my data is key performance indicators, right? For example, how are their emails performing? Are they getting the clicks and the opens that they'd like to see? There's value in that, of course, in having that type of information, but customer is great. We were able to accomplish this. We were able to improve email performance by X amount in the last quarter, whatever that the time might be, right? But what does that mean to your business? So how is that able to increase your ARR, or what other benefits? And can we put a number behind that so that again, when we're presenting that ROI, it's something that makes sense to them. It's kind of put in their world, and then again, we can tie it back to our performance and our key performance indicators.
I'd agree with that. I think the prep call for me is the initial intro and onboarding, and just, it's human to human. And so the stakeholders, they're bought into, the particular product. So it's kind of setting the stage of what are they losing sleep over? What, are they hoping to get out of this? In my world, recruitment marketing, what candidates are their pain points? Where are they, seeing high turnover? And just talking through everything. And even internally, what's, again, in the Glassdoor world, I want to know internally, how are they feeling? What are they sensing, behind those doors, so to speak. So it's a lot of very relationship, open questions, that really, I think, help me pull the right data, and then using Matic to really present. And Bex, as you pointed out, the data then tells the story, and really sells for us.
It's interesting because it's like we always talk about personalized recommendations, but what you're talking about is identifying like the personalized pain point specific to them and making sure you address that. Cool. Last but not least, Seth with a monthly account review.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I'm excited to give you all a look at the type of monthly content we present to our customers. And so what you're about to see is a real example of our account success reviews, or ASRs as we call them, which is our way of delivering personalized insight and strategic guidance to help customers get the most from their HackerOne programs. These sessions are designed to create alignment, surface new opportunities, and continuously demonstrate value. Kind of to Casey's point as well, CSMs will generate anywhere from 15 to 25 of these ASRs per month via Matic, which ultimately helped us reduce the amount of admin time to manually create these slides. But it also just helped streamline our talk track with our customers, because oftentimes, account teams will change, or internal teams will change. And so by streamlining that conversation, doesn't matter who they're talking to, they're getting the same kind of delivery and content, which help just provide some some consistencies across the board. And so similar to some of the other ones you see, we do kick off with, a clear agenda so the customer knows exactly what to expect. These reviews are typically conducted monthly, but it can be quarterly depending on, the customer's engagement preferences. So they include a blend of company updates, program datas, and recommendations. But more so, it's meant to be an open dialogue about, what's new on their end. And so it's not just a report out, it's a two-way strategic conversation. The slide also is a great reinforcement of the partnership. So we always outline who's involved from our side, customer success, account executive, and any support team. So the customer knows who to go to for what. And it's also just a subtle reminder that we're proactively managing their program behind the scenes. So we're committed to partnering with them consistently. And so next we move into the updates, both from the customer and HackerOne side. So here we really prompt the customer to share any changes within their org or their security strategy. When we get customers to open up here, we can really help build a stronger partnership between their teams and ours. And on our side, we spotlight new products, roadmap, highlights, upcoming events. And so this helps keep them in the loop and helps them plan ahead, especially if there's new beta features or integrations that can really enhance their workflow. We want to call those out and drive the customer to adopting these. And so we use this next one to extend the value beyond just the platform and the direct relationship with us. So we create moments of connections, whether that's coffee chats or technical deep dives with our executives, which really helps because for security leaders, this builds credibility, expands the conversation beyond just licensing usage, because it's all about influence, innovation, and brand visibility. So, these slides really help the customer feel part of a larger security community, whether it's global events, webinars, Black Hat meetups, we make sure they have access to all the key moments and that can help enrich their program by getting them connected with their peers as well. So it's not just about, hey, working with us, we want to make sure they're connected with other security-minded organizations as well. And so then we move on to provide just a quick overview of our platform and the capabilities, many of which the customers may or may not be fully utilizing yet. So this is, again, that kind of aha moment when they realize just how much more we can do together. And so, maybe they came in for one product and now they realize, hey, we can do so much more with y'all. So we're constantly educating while planting the seeds as well for expansion here. And so from there, then we jump into the executive recap, which is the heart of the account success review. We do break down program performance, as you can see, valid submissions, what their resolution time, their engagement, so that the customer gets that clear sense of the risk reduction and then the return on the mitigation that we're providing through our platform. What really makes this powerful is that, again, going back to what everybody's talking about, the personalization, right? It's their actual program data, it's benchmarked and analyzed, so that way we can surface the trends and opportunities for increased visibility. And so we don't just report on what happened, we also guide on what's going to happen next. So here we provide those tailored recommendations based on their recent activity. For example, if they're not getting a lot of engagement, we may suggest a campaign with the researchers to help get more visibility there. And so this is where our customer success expertise really shines and drives the value, because we can give them tangible next steps. And then we can check in with them before that next monthly sync to say, like, hey, did you implement this? Did you not? Or how can we help you overcome any blockers or barriers? And so from there, then we do close by pointing the customer to helpful resources and asking for feedback. So this way, this ensures they feel supported, heard, and encouraged to share how we can continue improving their experience. And so, overall, the ASR just gives us a structured data driven way to stay aligned with our customers. It strengthens the relationship, reinforces the value of their investment, but then also just helps them continuously evolve their security strategy with us. So, again, it's not just a monthly report, it's that moment of connection for us, drive clarity, and of course, ultimately have a strategic impact on their program.
I love that. I don't know if you call it the feature usage slide, but the one with everything listed and the green check marks, which I imagine creates so much FOMO. Like, what are some of the reactions you get from customers when you show that slide?
Yeah, and I go back to that like aha moment because it really is like for them, it's like, hey, we know y'all did this, but we didn't know you did all these other things. And so that drives that conversation of like, well, what else can we do for you? And so then, we can, again, since we partner with our account executives, we can have some more of those strategic conversations. So yeah, it's always that like, oh, y'all did that. I didn't know y'all could do that.
Um, so it's really clear from looking from all the content you showed us that this stuff is really impactful. But sometimes one of the biggest challenges like customer success teams, especially individual CSMs or CS leaders encounter is like creating this net new template and getting it going. So what kind of processes do y'all have in place for getting this kind of content developed and who's usually involved?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So we have a Tiger team that leads the development of our customer-facing content we present in customer success. So it includes representatives from not just CS, but sales, marketing, product, and enablement. So it gives us like a well-rounded perspective to ensure the content speaks to multiple aspects of the customer journey. So it also just helps surfaces, new product capabilities, reinforce like a go-to-market strategy. So ultimately, the collaboration helps us deliver the content, drive the growth and retention. And again, it's just not us just sharing data for the sake of sharing data, but that we're also telling that story about the customer journey.
To add color there for our organization, it sits within sales insights, or to that particular team is what we call it. And then a CS representative. So we have like a subject matter expert group from CS and sales. So there's 8 of us that meet with sales insights every other month, and then have like a quarterly convene to get feedback to sales insights. So they basically own, Matic and the processes and, for instance, like Snowflake and getting the data sources in, but they take our feedback of what we need to sell, what we need to communicate to the client, what we're having trouble with. So Seth, I agree with you, that partnership, that's not stepping on each other's toes by any means, but it's like someone who owns it, and then, CS and sales are a voice to help make sure that the product is useful.
So what are some of the tips and tricks you've learned over the years when it comes to creating this kind of content?
I can kick us off on that. So I'll start with some of the things we've already mentioned throughout our conversation today, which is making sure that you're personalizing, telling a story, you're tying the data back to like their overall objective or how they would consider value. And then also considering the different personas that you're presenting to. So a lot of times, I might use the same template, my business review template, but it will look different from customer to customer, depending on who I'm presenting to within their org. So making sure that you understand their kind of how they see things and presenting the information in a way that will be best received. As Seth and Casey just mentioned, making sure that you're collaborating internally to create the content. So making sure that you're in line with your company's OKRs and their overall message while still bringing in your own personality. Because I think that's important too, is to bring in your own style and personalities. A lot of time, these are templates that help us be successful, but where the true magic happens is when we bring that authenticity. And then in addition to that, providing feedback, but also asking for feedback. So a lot of times we are the ones who are in the front lines. We're speaking directly to our customers. We are the voice of the customer. So providing feedback internally on what's landing, what might need some changes, and that way you can really move the needle on helping your content evolve, because that's always going to be important, is that content evolves and keeps up with, the climate, what changes might be happening in all your company's overall focus. And then on the other side of that is asking, I mentioned earlier, it's important not to assume. And so asking your customers as well for their feedback. If there's, what landed most with them today, if there's any data that they would like to see in the future, or if there's any lens that they would want to see this type of content from in the future is very important as well.
Yeah, I'll quickly add a good question that we always in our Tiger team kind of think about is what do we want the customer to walk away thinking, feeling, or doing? Because when we start there, that mindset helps us stay focused on the insights and not just the data and the information. So that one's always been like a key pillar as we think about like any new content.
Last question. Y'all are part of organizations that are known for being innovative, doing cool things. If you're able to share, what's next on the horizon when it comes to this kind of content at your company?
Yeah, I can start us just because it's something that I'm finding exciting, while also I found a little intimidating at first, to be completely transparent. And that's AI. So I kind of dove right into AI mainly because it was a bit overwhelming at first, but I'm truly finding the value in it. And I'm seeing it's a huge focus, not only for my company, but also my book of business and the customers I'm working with. And what I've found in the CS space is that it's really a tool that helps us augment like human CSMs and not replace them. So it's helping handle the grunt work for me and also providing intelligent insights that would take me a lot longer for me to surface myself. So an example is as I run my business reviews using Matic, which saves me so much time, I can, provide the agent or the AI this knowledge, maybe the last 3 business reviews that I've completed with this customer, and ask it to provide an in-depth analysis of where they're seeing changes or where we might have to focus. So it puts me in a good position to have some great talking points for my customer calls, but also it helps me understand where we're seeing progress. A lot of times as CSMs, we put in a lot of work to support our customers, and it's sometimes hard to really quantify that and show where we're having the most impact. So I'm finding that AI, it's a big thing, it's not going anywhere, but there's a lot of benefits for us as well.
Anyone else able to share? I know this can be sometimes confidential until it's out there, but
Yeah, I can share. So yeah, for us, next, we're focusing more on automation for earlier engagement around renewals. So we're building out an automated renewal proposal that generates 120 days before like the customer's contract end date, and utilizing Matic's new trigger-based logic. Quick plug to Joe or Tam, who raised this to us last week. And so, yeah, it's, this approach is really going to allow us to start renewal conversations much earlier in our customers' life cycle, so well before the typical 30-day scramble. And so it's going to create a space for more strategic discussions, align the teams around value, and ultimately support stronger retention and growth outcomes.
cool. Okay. Last call for any questions. You have some experts here. You should definitely tap into this brain trust. Again, you can use chat or you can use the Q&A functionality. But otherwise, if no questions pop through, I don't think any's coming through. Thank you all so much for sharing that content. I know I'm definitely inspired on my end. I'm going to go tap our TAM team and be like, are we doing this? We should do this. So thank you so much and have a happy weekend, almost weekend. We can call it almost the weekend.
Yes,
Bye,
thanks for having
everyone.
us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.